No one could stop him, because the princess stood behind him. Outside the window, the horizon of the frontier planet Arathis stretched wide and unfamiliar, its orange sky dotted with twin suns. Despite the peaceful view, he felt the tension in his chest, the silent warning that danger could appear at any moment. The galaxy had a way of keeping humans on edge, and Kane had learned early that caution was often the difference between survival and failure. He adjusted his controls, eyes scanning the instruments. The planet was known for its wild weather, unpredictable storms, and treacherous terrain. But Kane had been sent here on a mission that required both skill and discretion, a rescue. A convoy of human traders had been stranded near the equatorial plains, cut off by a sudden storm and the surrounding alien territories. He knew that time was critical. The traders were skilled but inexperienced in frontier combat, and the storm left them vulnerable. Kane had a reputation for calm under pressure, for thinking clearly when the odds were stacked against him. He smiled faintly at the thought. In the stories humans told each other, he was often described as fearless, a man who could defy impossible odds. The reality was simpler. Kane relied on observation, quick thinking, and trusting the instincts that had kept him alive through countless skirmishes in the outer colonies. "Captain Kane," a voice came through the comm, crisp and measured. "Sensors detect movement near your position, possibly hostiles." Kane narrowed his eyes, adjusting the display. The figures were moving quickly across the plains, shadows against the orange sand. He tightened his grip on the controls. "Keep me informed." "I want exact coordinates and speed vectors," he said. There was no panic in his voice. Panic solved nothing. As he descended, Kane's thoughts drifted briefly to the woman who had put him on this mission. Princess Leora, heir to the throne of Vyrlia, was a presence in human politics that few could ignore. Calm, intelligent, and endlessly patient, she had recognized Kane's abilities and often worked behind the scenes to support him. No one knew it, but she had risked her reputation to ensure his mission succeeded. That quiet support, unseen by most, made him unstoppable. Kane's eyes returned to the horizon. The convoy came into view, a cluster of small ships huddled near jagged rocks. The storm had forced them to land in a valley, the wind whipping up dust and sand around them. Figures waved from the open hatches, relief flashing in their gestures when they saw Kane. "Hang on!" Kane shouted into the comm, though the traders were too far to hear. He activated the landing thrusters, carefully guiding the fighter down. The terrain was rough, but Kane had anticipated every bump and dip. With a final adjustment, he landed near the convoy, the craft settling smoothly despite the chaotic environment. Traders poured out of their ships, eyes wide as they took in the sky and the approaching storm. Kane stepped out, his boots crunching in the sand. "We're leaving," he said simply, his tone calm but firm. "Follow me." It took coordination. The storm had left visibility low, and the dust whipped around them like a living thing. But Kane moved with confidence, directing the traders to safety. He noticed how quickly they adapted to his instructions, how human resilience and instinct allowed them to keep pace. There was a beauty in it, a reminder of why humans could survive in places the aliens could not. As they moved, the faint hum of engines announced the arrival of another presence. Kane glanced up to see a sleek alien scout hovering above, its form unfamiliar but graceful, almost like a shadow against the sky. He didn't flinch. Instead, he assessed. Its sensors might detect them, but it could not predict human creativity, nor the way Kane always seemed to find solutions in impossible situations. "Keep moving," he whispered to the traders. "Ignore it. Focus on the path." The scout hovered for a moment longer, then, almost reluctantly, moved away. Kane allowed himself a quiet smile. Humans were underestimated far too often. The aliens assumed that rigid technology and precise calculation were always superior. They had not accounted for ingenuity, for the unpredictable brilliance that came from experience and courage. Hours later, the storm had passed, and Kane had guided the convoy to a safe landing zone. The traders were exhausted but unharmed, their faces alight with gratitude. Kane did not seek praise. His satisfaction was quiet, almost private. What mattered was that the mission had succeeded. The humans were safe, and the galaxy had yet another example of what humans could accomplish when they worked together. As the convoy settled, a soft voice broke through Kane's thoughts. Captain Kane, said Princess Leora, appearing at the edge of the camp. She moved with elegance and confidence, her eyes sharp as they scanned the area. The mission went well, Kane nodded. As well as it could. The convoy is secure, no casualties, Leora smiled faintly. I expected nothing less. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. The Council does not see what I see, but I trust your judgment, and I trust your instincts. That is why you have my support. Kane looked at her, understanding the weight of her words. Support from the princess was more than moral. It was a shield, a statement that no one could openly challenge him without challenging the authority of Violia itself. It gave him freedom to act, to make choices that others might hesitate to attempt. They spent a moment in quiet observation, watching as the traders began organizing repairs and preparing for the next leg of their journey. Kane considered the future, the broader picture of the galaxy, and the role humans would play in it. It was clear that the aliens would not remain passive forever, and that humanity's rise was bound to attract attention. Yet with Leora behind him, Kane felt a confidence that was rare in the galaxy, a knowledge that he could face what came next, and that the human spirit would prevail. As the suns began to set over the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant streaks of orange and red, Kane made a decision. This mission had been a test, a measure of what humans could achieve in adversity. And if this was the beginning, then he knew the galaxy had not seen the last of him, because behind him, as always, stood the princess. Captain Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of the convoy's main ship, staring out at the black expanse of space. The twin suns of Arathis had disappeared below the horizon hours ago, leaving only the soft glow of the stars above. Even in the darkness, his mind raced. The rescue mission had been a success, but he knew that peace was temporary. The galaxy was not a place where humans could afford to be complacent. "Captain," a voice called, and Kane turned to see Princess Leora approaching, her expression calm but serious. She moved with a quiet authority that always made people listen, whether they realized it or not. "We need to discuss the next step. The Council is concerned about the scouts we spotted. They suspect the aliens are monitoring human movements more closely." Kane nodded. "I expected as much, but observation does not equal attack. For now, we can use their caution to our advantage." Leora's eyes met his, sharp and knowing. "Your plan?" Kane thought for a moment. He was never reckless, never impulsive. Every action had a purpose, every move a potential ripple across the galaxy. "We need to show them that humanity is capable, that we can adapt, that we are unpredictable. The aliens calculate, they follow patterns, and humans do not always fit into those patterns. That is our advantage." Leora smiled faintly. "You always find a way to turn their rules against them." They spent the next hour reviewing reports from the convoy and from distant human colonies. Kane moved with a precision born from experience, analyzing data, spotting weaknesses in supply chains, and identifying opportunities to strengthen alliances. Leora contributed her insight, pointing out diplomatic strategies and potential moral challenges. Together, they formed a plan that was both practical and bold. By the time the meeting ended, the foundation of a coalition was laid. Kane would travel to the outer colonies, visiting leaders who were hesitant to act without guidance. Leora would coordinate the intelligence network, ensuring that information flowed accurately and efficiently between colonies. Their roles complemented each other perfectly, Kane as the active force, Leora as the guiding presence. As he prepared to depart, Kane looked back at the convoy. The traders were settling in for the long journey ahead, repairing their ships and sharing stories of survival. He admired their resilience, their ability to recover quickly from adversity. Humanity had a strength that the aliens could never fully understand, a mix of courage, creativity, and determination that flourished even in the harshest conditions. The journey to the outer colonies was long and uneventful at first, giving Kane time to think and plan. He studied star charts, plotted courses that avoided known patrol routes, and prepared contingencies for every possible scenario. Yet, even with all his preparation, he knew the unpredictability of human alliances and alien interventions could never be fully calculated. That unpredictability was both a risk and a strength. When he arrived at the first colony, he was greeted with suspicion and curiosity. The leaders were cautious, hesitant to join a coalition that might provoke the attention of the alien empires. Kane spoke to them calmly, presenting both facts and possibilities. He demonstrated how small, coordinated actions could strengthen humanity's position without provoking unnecessary conflict. He showed them how their unique resources, knowledge of local environments, and human ingenuity could be combined into a network far stronger than any individual colony. Some leaders remained skeptical, but others were inspired. They began to see the potential for a united human presence, not through brute force, but through intelligence, cooperation, and creativity. Kane's approach was always measured. He never demanded allegiance, but instead presented choices and consequences, allowing humans to make decisions that aligned with both their survival and their ambition. While Kane worked on the colonies, Leora operated behind the scenes, her network of scouts and diplomats sending information from planet to planet. She intercepted intelligence about alien movements, misdirected their sensors, and subtly guided human colonies to act in ways that maximized strategic advantage. Her influence was quiet but immense, a constant presence that protected Kane and strengthened the coalition without revealing itself to outsiders. During a briefing on a remote station, Kane received word of an unusual signal, a coded message from a distant colony. He decoded it quickly, realizing that the aliens were testing human coordination, sending probes to observe how quickly the colonies could communicate and respond. Kane studied the data and smiled. Humans were already responding in ways the aliens had not predicted, improvising solutions and finding workarounds that showcased their adaptability. "Princess," Kane said as he called Leora via secure link, "they're watching, but they don't understand what they're seeing. They think we will react predictably. They're wrong." "I anticipated as much," Leora replied. Her voice was calm, almost serene, but Kane could sense her focus. "We will use their observation against them. Humans can act in ways they cannot imagine." Over the next few days, Kane and Leora coordinated a series of strategic maneuvers. Small fleets moved between colonies, establishing supply lines, communications relays, and training programs for local defense forces. Each action was deliberate, calculated to strengthen the coalition while remaining just below the threshold that would provoke open confrontation. The aliens, watching from afar, likely assumed humanity was merely busy with routine tasks. They did not understand the larger purpose, the deliberate formation of a human network capable of acting as one, a hidden force that could not be easily predicted or contained. In one colony, Kane organized a demonstration of human ingenuity. A group of engineers had modified local vehicles to operate efficiently in harsh desert conditions, using techniques that had been improvised from available materials. Kane oversaw the demonstration personally, showing both the colony leaders and the scouts how these modifications could multiply their effectiveness. The aliens, monitoring from orbit, would see activity, but they could not fully grasp the intelligence, creativity, and flexibility of the human approach. The demonstration ended with applause and renewed confidence. Kane looked at the engineers, at the traders, and at the local leaders. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. "Humans can achieve more than they believe, more than anyone believes, and when we act together, we become unstoppable." As the coalition began to take shape, Kane and Leora faced the first true test of their plan. An alien vessel, far larger and more advanced than any human ship, appeared near a minor colony that had yet to join the coalition. Its presence was intimidating, a show of power designed to instill fear. The colony leaders looked to Kane for guidance, uncertain and anxious. Kane remained calm, assessing the situation carefully. "Do not panic," he instructed. "We will handle this. Observe, adapt, and respond. Fear will only limit our options." He quickly devised a strategy. Instead of confronting the vessel directly, he coordinated a series of decoy maneuvers, using small ships and unmanned drones to create the illusion of a larger fleet. The aliens would see patterns and movements they did not expect, signals they could not interpret correctly. Kane relied on unpredictability, improvisation, and timing, qualities humans excelled at but aliens often overlooked. The plan unfolded perfectly. The alien vessel, unable to predict human behavior and uncertain about the size and capability of the forces it faced, eventually withdrew without engagement. The colony was unharmed, its leaders inspired by the calm confidence and ingenuity displayed by Kane and his team. Later, Kane and Leora reviewed the events from the observation deck of a safe station. They saw activity, Kane said, but they cannot read our intentions. They think we are weak. They are wrong. Leora nodded. Humans have a strength they cannot quantify. We adapt, we improvise, and we support each other. That is something no amount of alien technology can overcome. Kane looked at her, understanding what she implied. His victories were not his alone, they were shared. Every step he took was backed by Leora's guidance, by the trust of the colonies, by the ingenuity of countless humans. Together, they had begun to show the galaxy what humans were capable of, and it was a force that no alien could easily predict or contain. As they prepared to leave the station, Kane reflected on the progress they had made. The coalition was not complete, but the foundation was strong. Human colonies were beginning to communicate, to trust each other, and to act in coordinated ways. The aliens were watching, uncertain, hesitant to intervene. And through it all, Princess Leora remained a steady presence, guiding, protecting, and inspiring. Kane felt a quiet determination. The path ahead would not be easy. The aliens would continue to test, to probe, and to challenge humanity at every step. But Kane was ready. Humans were ready. They had proven that ingenuity, courage, and cooperation could overcome even the most advanced threats. And as always, he knew he could move forward with confidence because behind him stood the princess, unwavering and wise, a silent force that made him truly unstoppable. The galaxy stretched before Captain Elias Kane like a dark sea dotted with countless stars. From the observation deck of the command ship, he could see the distant glow of planets and moons, some familiar, some entirely new. Each of them represented a possibility, a place where humanity could thrive, or a challenge that could test everything they had built so far. Kane felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. The human coalition was growing stronger, but so was the attention of the alien empires, whose curiosity and caution had turned to concern. Princess Leora stood beside him, her eyes fixed on a cluster of distant star systems. "They are moving," she said quietly, her voice calm but tense. "The aliens are testing the limits of our network. They are probing our defenses, sending fleets to observe the colonies. We cannot ignore it." Kane nodded. He had expected this. Predictability was humanity's greatest danger in the eyes of the aliens, and unpredictability was their greatest strength. "We'll adapt," he said. "We always do, and we'll show them what humans can do when we act together." The first challenge came quickly. Reports arrived from several outer colonies. Small fleets of alien scouts were approaching human systems, sending signals meant to intimidate, to force humans into mistakes. Kane studied the reports carefully. Each movement was deliberate, each calculation precise, yet they did not account for the flexibility, creativity, and resilience of human forces. "Leora," Kane said, turning to her, "we need a strategy that uses their expectations against them. They think we will panic or flee. We will prove them wrong." Leora smiled faintly, her calm authority reassuring him. "We will make them see humanity in a way they cannot ignore. I have already coordinated with several colonies to prepare contingency measures. It will look like chance, but it is intentional." Over the next days, Kane and Leora orchestrated a series of maneuvers that combined intelligence, timing, and creativity. Small human fleets moved between systems in ways that seemed improvised to the aliens, but were carefully coordinated behind the scenes. Communication was subtle but effective. Signals hidden in routine transmissions, schedules adjusted to avoid prediction, and decoy movements designed to confuse observers. The aliens, watching from afar, could see activity but could not interpret the meaning. At one key colony, Kane oversaw a demonstration of human engineering. Engineers had modified local ships to operate efficiently in unusual gravity and atmospheric conditions. Drones and automated systems, improvised from existing materials, could create the illusion of a larger, more powerful fleet. Kane explained the process to the colony leaders, emphasizing creativity, collaboration, and adaptability. "These modifications," Kane said, "show what humans can do when we combine intelligence with ingenuity. We do not have to match their technology directly. We find ways to make the impossible possible." The demonstration worked beyond expectations. Not only did it strengthen the confidence of the colony leaders, but sensors from the alien fleets recorded activity that seemed erratic and unpredictable. The aliens began to doubt their calculations, unsure of what they were truly observing. Kane smiled quietly. The unpredictability of human creativity was already paying off. Meanwhile, Leora worked tirelessly behind the scenes. She coordinated the flow of information between colonies, ensuring that everyone had accurate data, that resources were allocated efficiently, and that morale remained high. She also intercepted intelligence about alien maneuvers, subtly influencing the human response without revealing the full extent of her involvement. Her presence, though unseen, was a guiding force, a steady hand that allowed Kane to act decisively. The next test came in the form of a direct challenge. An alien fleet appeared near a cluster of human colonies, not with hostility but with intimidation. Their ships moved in formation, scanning sensors, broadcasting messages designed to provoke fear and hesitation. The colonies looked to Kane, unsure how to respond. Kane remained calm, analyzing the situation carefully. He knew that fear was the enemy of creativity. If humans panicked, the aliens' display would succeed. "Do not be afraid," he instructed. "We will respond, but not in the way they expect. Observe, adapt, and act. Confidence is our advantage." He deployed a series of small, fast ships to perform maneuvers that seemed uncoordinated at first glance. Drones emitted signals that created the illusion of a larger fleet, while the main human forces moved discreetly into strategic positions. Every movement was calculated to exploit the aliens' assumptions and to highlight the unpredictable nature of human tactics. The aliens, unable to interpret the actions, hesitated. Their precision and rigid planning were challenged by human flexibility. Kane observed with satisfaction as they altered their formation repeatedly, unsure of the intentions or capabilities of the humans. By the time the maneuver was complete, the aliens withdrew from the area without confrontation, leaving the colonies unharmed. The leaders of the colonies celebrated not only the immediate safety of their people, but also the realization that humans could act as one coordinated force without relying on brute strength. Kane emphasized this point to them. "This is what humanity can achieve," he said. "Not by overpowering, but by outthinking, outmaneuvering, and supporting one another. Strength comes in many forms, and ingenuity is one of ours." After the event, Kane and Leora reviewed the results. "They are beginning to respect us," Kane said. "Not because of fear, but because of unpredictability, intelligence, and collaboration. They do not yet understand the full scope of our abilities, but they are learning." Leora nodded. "We have shown them what we can do, but the true challenge is coming. They will test us further, and their next moves will be more sophisticated. We must be ready, and humans must continue to grow stronger together." Kane felt the weight of her words, but also the confidence it inspired. Humanity was capable of adapting to anything, but the real power came from unity. Every colony that joined the coalition, every engineer who contributed ideas, every leader who embraced collaboration, strengthened the whole. It was a network that could not be predicted or broken easily, and it was growing faster than the aliens could monitor. One night, as Kane walked the corridors of the command ship, he observed the crew working quietly but efficiently. Traders, engineers, navigators, all focused on their tasks, all contributing to the larger effort. He felt a sense of pride, not only in their abilities but in the human spirit itself. Humans could be underestimated, doubted, or ignored, but they could achieve greatness when united and inspired. Leora joined him silently, observing the same scene. "They look ordinary," she said softly, "but their potential is extraordinary." Humanity is not defined by technology or weaponry. It is defined by courage, creativity, and cooperation. That is something the aliens cannot measure. Kane agreed. He had seen it in action, had guided it, and had benefited from it. And behind him always was Leora, quietly ensuring that every move he made was supported, that every risk he took was calculated, and that the human network remained strong. The coalition grew, and with it, human influence expanded. Kane visited multiple colonies, teaching, demonstrating, and inspiring. Each stop reinforced the message. Humans were not weak, humans were not predictable, and humans could achieve incredible things when united. Aliens observing from afar could see the activity, but they could not fully comprehend the organization, intelligence, and determination behind it. As the days turned into weeks, Kane faced an unexpected challenge, a minor betrayal from one of the newly joined colonies. Fear and misunderstanding had caused them to act against a coordinated plan, threatening the safety of nearby human systems. Kane responded quickly, not with anger but with strategy. He engaged with the colony leaders, explaining the risks, providing alternatives, and ensuring trust was restored. The situation was resolved without conflict, and the coalition remained intact. Kane reflected on the lesson. Humans were capable of mistakes, but they were also capable of learning, adapting, and growing stronger from those mistakes. It was this resilience that truly set humanity apart. One evening, as the stars shone brightly beyond the command ship, Kane and Leora stood together, observing the galaxy. "We have accomplished much," Kane said, "but this is only the beginning. They will continue to test us. The aliens will not rest until they understand humanity, but they will never fully grasp what we can do." Leora placed a hand on his shoulder, her presence steady and reassuring. "And that is why you can face what comes next, because you do not stand alone. Every human who trusts, who adapts, who contributes stands with you, and I stand with you always." Kane felt a calm confidence settle over him. Humanity had faced the first true challenge of coordination and strategy, and they had succeeded. They had outsmarted, adapted, and united. The galaxy was watching, uncertain and cautious, and the human network had proven itself capable of meeting any challenge. As they prepared for the next phase, expanding the coalition even further and confronting larger alien forces, Kane knew one truth. No one could stop him, not because of his skill alone, but because behind him stood Princess Leora, guiding, protecting, and inspiring. Together, they were more than a team. They were the embodiment of human potential, a force of ingenuity, courage, and unity that the galaxy could not ignore. And so, humanity's rise continued, stronger, smarter, and more coordinated than ever, ready for the challenges that awaited beyond the stars. The galaxy was quieter than usual, but the calm was deceptive. Captain Elias Kane stood on the bridge of the command ship, gazing at the vast expanse of stars. The human coalition had grown stronger over the past weeks, yet Kane knew that the true test was still ahead. The aliens had been cautious so far, observing, probing, and testing, but now it seemed that they were preparing something larger, something that could challenge everything humanity had built. Princess Leora joined him silently, her presence a steadying influence. She had coordinated communication across the coalition, ensuring that all colonies were connected, informed, and prepared. Every human system had a role to play, and every leader had been guided to act with intelligence and creativity. The foundation of unity was solid, but Kane knew that strength alone was not enough. Strategy, timing, and ingenuity would be essential. "They are moving closer," Leora said quietly, pointing to a formation of distant alien ships appearing on the sensors. "This is their largest deployment yet. They want to see if humanity can truly act as one." Kane nodded. "Then we will show them, not by brute force, but by thinking differently, by using what they cannot predict against them. We have prepared for this." The coalition mobilized quickly. Ships from multiple colonies converged, not in a chaotic rush, but in coordinated movement. Every fleet, every vessel, every drone had a designated role, yet all appeared improvisational to any external observer. Kane had designed the operation to confuse and mislead. The aliens would perceive randomness, when in reality it was meticulous planning. At the same time, Leora worked behind the scenes. Her intelligence network monitored the alien movements, sending updates to Kane and adjusting human deployments in real time. She ensured that supplies were ready, communications were clear, and morale remained high. Her work was invisible to most, but without it, the operation could not succeed. The first stage of the plan involved creating multiple, false threats. Small fleets moved in patterns that seemed erratic, drones mimicked attacks that never came, and signals were transmitted suggesting larger forces in sectors where none existed. The aliens, observing from afar, began to respond to these diversions, allocating their resources according to patterns that Kane had anticipated. "See," Kane said, pointing to the screen. "They are reacting exactly as we expected. Their calculations are rigid. They cannot adapt quickly to unpredictability, and that is our advantage," Leora smiled. "Humans are flexible, and we think in ways they cannot. Every colony, every crew is part of the strategy. Together, we are stronger than any single force they can deploy." The operation progressed to the next phase. Kane directed the real fleets toward key locations where the aliens had left gaps, exploiting their misallocation of resources. The ships moved swiftly, silently, and efficiently. Kane's voice over the comm was calm and precise, guiding each fleet with instructions that allowed them to act independently while still contributing to the overall strategy. Colonies that had once been hesitant now participated confidently, each demonstrating ingenuity. Engineers devised modifications to improve speed and efficiency. Navigators calculated unusual routes that avoided detection, and drone teams executed maneuvers that created illusions of even larger forces. The coalition worked as one, yet no external observer could fully comprehend the coordination behind the apparent chaos. As the fleets approached their objectives, a minor problem arose. One of the smaller colonies, inexperienced and uncertain, deviated from its assigned role. This could have jeopardized the entire operation. Kane did not panic. He quickly analyzed the situation, adjusted the nearby fleets, and sent a clear, simple instruction to the colony. Follow this path. You are vital and your actions must align with the whole. Trust us. The colony complied and the operation continued without disruption. Kane reflected on the lesson. Humans were not perfect, but their ability to learn, adapt, and cooperate turned mistakes into opportunities. This was a strength no alien fleet could anticipate or counter. Meanwhile, Liora coordinated critical support. Supply ships were rerouted to ensure that fuel, food, and equipment were available where needed. Communications channels relayed real-time updates, adjustments, and tactical suggestions. Her work was the backbone of the operation, invisible to most but indispensable. Kane often thought that without her guidance, his leadership alone would not have been sufficient. As the fleets reached their positions, Kane prepared for the final stage. The aliens had positioned their main fleet in a central location, confident in their superiority. Kane knew they relied on assumptions. Humans would either attack directly or retreat. They could not foresee the complexity, ingenuity, and coordination that Kane and Liora had orchestrated. "Ready?" Liora asked, standing beside him. Her eyes were steady, her calm demeanor inspiring confidence. "Always," Kane replied. The human fleets executed their plan with precision. Drones, decoys, and misdirection created a network of illusions, hiding the real movements of the ships. The aliens shifted their formations repeatedly, unsure of what they were seeing. Kane's instructions guided the fleets to exploit the gaps created by these diversions. One by one, the colony's fleets appeared in unexpected locations, their presence amplified by the earlier distractions. The aliens began to realize they had underestimated humanity. They could see the activity, but they could not interpret the strategy. Their rigid planning and reliance on predictable responses left them vulnerable. Kane watched the sensors carefully, adjusting movements to maximize efficiency, minimize risk, and maintain the appearance of randomness. Every colony contributed. Engineers modified systems on the fly, navigators recalculated routes in seconds, and fleet commanders executed complex maneuvers without hesitation. Humans were not only reacting, they were improvising, adapting, and collaborating in ways the aliens could never fully predict. Liora monitored the entire operation, her calm voice guiding Kane and the fleets simultaneously. "They cannot anticipate us. Every move is coordinated and every colony is aligned. Keep it steady." The final phase began. Kane directed the main fleets to converge on the alien central position, not to attack, but to demonstrate the power of unity and coordination. The human ships moved as one, each action purposeful, each movement calculated. The aliens could only watch, unable to understand how humans had achieved such synchronization without central control. The demonstration was complete. Humanity had not destroyed the alien fleet, but they had proven something far more significant. Humans were intelligent, adaptable, and united. The aliens could see their mistakes, their rigid assumptions, and their underestimation of human potential. Kane and Liora had turned every challenge into an opportunity, every obstacle into a showcase of human ingenuity. As the fleets regrouped, the colonies celebrated quietly. There were no grand explosions, no dramatic confrontations, only the satisfaction of success achieved through intelligence, creativity, and collaboration. Kane addressed the leaders of the coalition, his voice calm but filled with pride. "You have all done exceptionally. he said. Humanity has shown that strength is not just about numbers or technology. It is about courage, cooperation, and adaptability. Every colony, every crew, every individual contributed to this success. Together, we are unstoppable. Leora stood beside him, her expression calm and confident. And remember, she added, we have only begun. The galaxy will continue to test us, but we will continue to rise. Because humans think, humans adapt, and humans support each other. And as long as we do, there is no challenge we cannot face. Kane felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. The coalition was stronger than ever, the colonies more united, and humanity's potential more evident. The aliens had witnessed the ingenuity, courage, and unity of humans, and they would never underestimate them again. As the command ship left the central sector, Kane reflected on the journey. From the initial rescue mission on Arathis to the formation of the coalition, every challenge had been met with intelligence, creativity, and determination. Humans had turned limitations into strengths, fear into strategy, and individuality into unity. And behind him, as always, stood Princess Leora. Her guidance, wisdom, and unwavering support had made him unstoppable. Kane knew that no achievement of humanity would have been possible without her presence. Together, they had demonstrated the true power of human ingenuity, cooperation, and courage. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a canvas of infinite possibilities. Humanity's journey was only beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same. Kane looked forward with determination, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, humans would face them together, guided by intelligence, bravery, and unity. Because no one could stop him, not because of his skill alone, but because behind him stood Princess Leora, the silent force that made humanity truly unstoppable. And so the human coalition continued to rise, expanding its influence, inspiring hope, and proving to the galaxy that human potential was limitless, not through fear, not through brute force, but through intelligence, ingenuity, and the unbreakable bonds of trust and collaboration. No one could stop him, because the princess stood behind him,